TFT, but we're going to get to see even more as we jump into game number 2. Bryce, Frodan, take it away.
Here we go. It is game 2 of the final day here on Championship Sunday of the mid-set finale of Dragonlands. Let's hop on board with a player who was doing so well the first 2 days with Amde. Now has to pick himself back up after that bot 4. Oh, I apologize. Actually, we were on Amde's POV. Now we have switched to DQA. DQA, quite the enigma of a player. It kind of depends on what version of DQA is. Is he motivated? Is he well prepped? Is he well rested? DQA has gone through many different approaches in his TFT career, and it feels like he's hit that healthy balance of understanding enough about the game to feel confident in his game plan without over-indexing on playing too much. That was something that he cited previously in the Gizmos and Gadgets Championship. He felt like he just played too much TFT and his mind wasn't able to focus by resting more, watching more, thinking more critically outside the game. It feels like he has found that sweet spot, and it resulted in a really nice off-meta Swain first place.
Yeah, it did, and I think this is one of DQA's strengths, actually. He performed so well last regionals as one of the only players in the field that was actually open to Warwick, correctly recognizing that that composition was quite strong, the Warwick reroll. And yet again, I think it's one of the first Swain games we've seen the entire tournament, in DQA actually kind of low-rolled. He was stuck on 8 Swains for a really long time and wasn't able to kind of push the levels to get the Shyvana in. He was also playing without a Nico for a little while, so it was a really nicely played Swain game for him. Excellent recognition that Swain is both capable of being strong in this meta, and in particular, very strong into the lobby complexion that we had in game number 1.
Whoa, all right. Well, this lobby is heating up. Prismatic start at 2-1. With a couple of interesting choices. I have very rarely seen anyone even attempt to take a Tempest Crown. I don't think DQA is the type of player that would. If it was Pocky Gom, for example, I'm sure he would explore that possibility. Does go for the Evoker to get that free Anivia. Has the Jade set up already, so that's actually a great choice. Plus, can even utilize this Evoker emblem to flex into top end in a multitude of ways. Just because he starts off with this Jade doesn't mean he has to commit to Jade, although Jade might end up being something that you would lean into more. Spell, Sword, Enchantment is once again the Mirage, which I think worked out in the benefit of DQA as well. If you're talking about good matchups for Swain, there was a lot of that lobby, but a bad matchup is a Deja, and we might see a lot of it this lobby.
Yeah, we might see a lot of it this lobby. I would expect to see more of it than we saw last lobby. Only 2 players attempting Deja on Spell Sword, which is the strongest Mirage variant right now. Yesterday and the day before, we were seeing 4, 5, 6 players sometimes on Deja in that line, but I have to pause our thoughts on Deja and Spell Sword to say Clear is playing Cruel Pact. What a time to be alive.
Yeah, so Crew Pact has changed since the beginning of the set. It used to just cost you HP to level, and that was it. Now it costs you additional health to be able to level, but you heal a few every single round. And so the strategy is a little bit more dynamic. It's about timing when you can push for 7. You can't do it immediately anymore, but you have to try to lean into that streak. And ultimately with Cruel Pact, it's pretty much about making sure that you're all capable of playing best board with your gold constraints. That's the biggest part about Cruel Pact, is making sure that you can have that delicate balance between strongest board and not sacrificing your economy too bad, because there's going to be moments where you have to think about rolling down, even in situations you don't want to.
Yeah, and I love to see Clear pulling out this very dangerous pick in the biggest stake tournament he's ever played in, right? I don't think Clear's ever made a regional, so a mid-set finale with a world spot on the line is about as high stakes as it gets for him, or for basically anyone in competitive teamfight tactics, and he is showing that he is not afraid of this moment, grabbing a very high-risk, high-reward augment like Cruel Pact. That's part of what makes Clear such a fun player to watch. You know, we saw him piloting Varus in that first game, a composition that basically no one is looking to play. He's one of the best Varus players on the server, now taking Cruel Pact in this game. I love that he's just willing to do his thing. He beats to his own TFT drum, and he's been making it work so far in days 1 and 2.
Yep, so far so good. So even though he's at 52, is the player that is streaking and will continue to streak. There's also another dynamic of with this kind of start, is that you end up putting so much pressure on the rest of the lobby. A lot of people are going to be under the, quote, Cruel Pact tax. Anybody that's facing up against him early game will be taking more damage than expected. And to top it all off, Clear is guaranteed carousel priority until stage 4. So we'll see how Clear is able to really leverage this advantage. Another aspect of it is, what is the timing of his level 7? He's going to go after carousel. Is he going to try to be a little bit on the greedier side if he's scouting a lot of weak boards? It's going to be rare for the boards to be weak, though, because it is a prismatic lobby, as he does get a very comfortable win over Bertasaurus. Only Darth Nub is the last standing person who still has a chance of preserving streak.
Yeah, Darth Nub just in the Prage Mortdog has him and does not match him up against Clear situation. Clear, as you said, an extra benefit is he's getting first pick on the carousel here, so we'll have to see what item he chooses to go for as we take a look at the augments. You know, nothing else really super jumping out at me. Robin grabbing Mage Cap, not something we see all the time at the prismatic level. Not a lot of vertical mages happening, so we'll have to check out his spot. And then Darth Nub on Built Different 3, an augment that a lot of players think is just ridiculously powerful. He is the other win streaker. It's tough, though, being the Built Different player in a Cruel-packed lobby, because you really, really want to preserve your streak. And if he runs into that crazy strong board from Clear, he might not be able to, even with Built Different 3.
Agreed. So there's going to be this tension of whether or not Darth Nub ends up playing against Clear this stage, because both of those players are heavily dependent on streaking on stage 2. And if they do match up, obviously neither of them can. There could be a secondary effect, or secondary option, which is they never play each other. And I think they both would even prefer that in some capacity, just to have that side of relief. And you can see match number 4 up against Bertasaurus, not going to be the case. Bert did end up taking item grab bag 2. That is an interesting pick, in my opinion. I think a lot of people view this as a weak prismatic augment, but in the hands of a really good player who can understand the flexibility that you can use with these items and making sure you're playing a strong board like Bertasaurus, I think that it's an underrated augment. And you can see that's resulted in him just beating a Built Different 3 board we talked about, anticipating the matchup versus Clear. He didn't even get a chance to play Clear. He loses to Bert with that double item start.
Yeah, Bert with 4 items slammed on 2-5, and they're generically very powerful items as well. So Bert is in an excellent position, still has a Reforger available as well, and he can be very flexible. I mean, the Shiv plus the Archangel plus an Edge of Night plus a Sunfire, to me, screams, hey, I want to play around Deja, right? You Shiv and you Archangel the Deja, you put the Edge of Night onto a Yasuo, and you Sunfire your Nunu. But Bird is such a good and flexible player, TFT. He can go in a lot of different directions from there. And now we have Clear on his final fight. He would really like to preserve this streak as well. The only player full streaking. Will he go up against Darth Nub? And if so, can he deal with it?
Goes up against Amde, who does have the Dragonmancer emblem with a Jewel Gauntlet already slammed. So Amde angling for a Legend reroll featuring Anivia. This is a comp that I believe is also underplayed across the board, except for outside of China, or rather in China. China
and
loves this build. They called it the Phoenix. And so Amde ends up losing to Clear again. Reasonable amount of power coming up from Clear, but Clear also chose to not go to 7. This is something that's very distinct about the Cruel Pact. It's a very integral choice, because I wonder when Clear will go to 7 then, because he obviously can't stay at 6 for too much longer because his streak's going to get snapped.
Yeah, this is a lot of the skill of the composition, or sorry, of the augment, is understanding that you have to scout lobby very closely throughout in order to make that decision on when you need to spike. When do you need to go to 7 and enroll your gold as well? Joining Robin, who is at the middle of the pack HP-wise, 84 HP for Robin. He's been playing around that Mage's board. He's got the Rise early, plus the Spear of Shojin, plus that Mage Cap, so he's making it work. He's also getting a little bit of investment in Trainer this round, able to make 40 gold despite it, so solid performance from Robin.
See how Robin's able to flex this AP line. He's been playing a lot of mages, and Itis shows up. Which, by the way, Itis with Mage Emblem is low-key not bad. We'll see if he ends up utilizing it or selling it. He immediately sells it for gold. What do you think about that? Do we know the item?
We don't. I haven't seen the item yet, so that could be part of it. It also looks like he really wants to play around hitting the spike now, right? He's playing this old version of Mages where he's rolling deeply, trying to go for this Nami 3 potentially. Oh, completely whiffs Nami on that shop. Such a big deal. I expect him to get this Rise back in, but I guess he could sell the Rise and just go full all in on the carry Nami. This is a style of play that was really popular in earlier phases of the set that most top players think is actually quite bad right now. I mean, I was having a conversation, I remember, with a couple players in the lead up to this tournament who said, yeah, if you carry Nami right now, you are inting. Carrying Rise and Mages is actually quite good, so it'll be interesting to see if Robin's beat on this is correct, or if this Nami's not able to take care of business in Stage 3.
Yeah, I think it kind of depends on what you're hitting. If you're hitting those Namis, which he has 5 copies of, that makes more sense. Only 1 copy of Rise makes it a lot more difficult to justify. And he's going up against Pocky, who is at 5, who didn't go to 6, it didn't roll. And it comes down to these last couple of hits. At least it's a 1-unit loss. That was not what Robin was hoping for as we entered the 3-2 augment. And it's going to be a silver.
Whoa. Do you just go Vertical Mages here? It's an extra copy of Nami, which is really nice. He can't afford to re-roll. Triforce doesn't feel very good. Best Friends is fine. There's definitely value in Best Friends. Even people think about Best Friends as an AD-focused augment, but it doesn't have to be. Attack speed causes you to cast faster. Armor is nice on everyone.
Yeah, it depends on what Robin is open to. Personally, I think Mage Heart is actually quite pickable, especially if you choose to play with a Mage emblem on Sona, or you just use Rise as a primary. Because it just gives you a bunch of AP boost. So I personally like it a lot. Not to mention, this extra Nami helps, right? If he's trying to go for Nami 3, every little bit that you can kind of get close to that Nami 3 without having to roll a bunch of gold, the better. And so I actually like this pick from Robin. I think it seems kind of basic on paper. A lot of people at the intermediate level just like, well, yeah, of course, you're playing mages, just pick the mage augment. But there's a lot more that went into it, given the state of the game in terms of its meta and the way this lobby is shaping up.
Yeah, going up against Bertasaurus' board, Bert is very strong, has maintained a meaningful amount of HP. Actually, might have won every fight since we last saw him. The Tiny Titans is boosting him up to 122 HP, and it looks like Bert's going to take care of business here as well. The double upgrades on the Senna and Jinx in the backline is enough, and Robin, after leveling early on 3-1 and rolling probably more gold than anyone has so far this stage, has now lost back-to-back fights. Very unusual situation to be in. Joining Clear, who is level 7 and has lost back-to-back fights. Things are getting very precarious for this Clear pact. Oh, Deja!
Deja!
Wait, what?
Hold on. We just passed Deja and Spell Sword. He is full committing to what looks like a Jade Core with Corki. That is a very bold call on my first initial instinct is I heavily disagree with this. He finds a Yasuo, which would have been a perfect complement to everything.
He also passed Siphon, so he's committed to this Jade Core around Corki. Very, very interesting decision-making from Clear. I would love to pick his brain on it. My first instinct is the same as yours. I think that he is too tunneled on a single path here and not paying enough attention to what Mortdog is offering him.
Well, I mean, I understand why the instinct is the Jade Core. One, it's really powerful in the mid-stage of the game, exactly where it is, so he gets the win. And, again, his board is not bad by any means. He's level 7 at this stage of the game. And Jade also lends itself to finding Soraka and plugging and playing, and Soraka does get your cool pact healing, so you can go to level 8. That being said, it is very difficult for Clear to pull himself out of this deficit if he loses one more time. If he loses any time between here and the end of stage 4, Clear could go 8th, and that is the dynamic of Cruel Pact that has often made players shy away from it, and the stakes are just so high. There's a world spot on the line and thousands of dollars. Clear really putting money where his mouth is. He strongly believes that this is a play that would net the best average placement from here.
What?
And he finds a Yasuo pair.
You're just hit Yasuo right? 2 on 4-1 because why not? Never punished.
Another Deja.
Another Deja. Another Siphon. Does he want to play Shio Yu? Sell the Corki for Shio Yu, and then he has Titans BT on Shio Yu? I mean, Titans BT also very good on Siphon, by the way. Like, BIS Siphon, I'm really, really struggling to understand the decision-making tunneling so hard on one line in this situation. So he is going to slam the Bloodthirster. That's going to go Corki as well, so Corki is going to be his item holder. But if you're just playing around item holding, isn't Siphon the much better item holder in this spot? Very, very unusual decision-making.
Yeah, and to your point, it's also not like the additional benefits from having a Braum 1 for the Guardian and having this synergyless Corki is that much more meaningful. It's whether or not you believe these units can actually get it done. And I think that even just having the Deja in, right, with all this, and having Yasuo hold the other items like Bloodthirster and Titans would have also, one, saved him a ton of gold, and two, be just as effective, if not more. Now, that being said, again, he's winning, and so everything is fine. It's just not fine the moment he loses, and that's why we're so kind of dialed in to the possibilities of what's going on here. And if Clear wins out for the rest of the game, then I'll never doubt him again. I just highly doubt whether or not that's actually going to happen.
Yeah, for anyone who's watching and saying, wait, why are these casters going so hard in the paint on Clear? He is winning these fights. He's supposed to be winning these fights. He's playing Clear Pact. He got to 7 early. He spent a bunch of gold here. He is supposed to be winning in this situation. The problem is we're worried about the scalability of this board. We know for a fact the current iteration of his board is going to get outscaled, and we also know he is now at 10 gold, stuck on level 7. It's going to be a really rough stage 4 for Clear unless he gets the exact units he's hitting for in a bunch of shops in a row. And it looks like we're going to be taking a loss here, although the Corki is on to this Tristana. The Tristana ult comes out, but yeah, it's just too much. Clear's going to take some big damage here, down at 18. Robin, by the way, down at 50. Robin actually just won his first fight of the stage, so after basically spending 20 plus gold on 3-1, Robin went 4 loss into 1 win at the end of stage 3, and this is why many players think playing around Nami is just weak. It just doesn't stabilize the board in the way that it used to.
Yeah, not unless you hit really fast, like Nami 3 still can get it done, but you also saw that Robin only had 1 item, had a Shojin, and usually another dynamic of what makes the mages really strong is you can get ahead of the curve. You have Nami 3 really fast, you have Shojin and Shiv and Archangels, these kinds of items that really ramp up the fight, and people's boards aren't developed enough to deal with the mage frontline. Speaking of frontline, by the way, DQA with a very solid Warmogs plus Stoneplate hits, and Anivia at 2 stars is now going for, I thought was going to be a Trainer Jade setup, so I was getting ready to tee that up, but he has since taken it out because it is a weaker variation of the board. And in a Prismatic lobby like this, I like that. You have to respect the fact that people are going to play stronger than average boards, and you can look at it. Robin's rolling down. He found Rise 2, he found Alawi 2. 2 people are streaking. Darth Nub has reclaimed his built different streak. And none of those players are in his pool. Let's see what ends up being on the other side. It's Bertasaurus, the Reaper of Items, who has a Shyvana at 7 with 2 of the 3 best items you can possibly get on her. And the Dragon's Descent is going to land on the clumped up board. And everything just melts.
Oh my god.
Oh my goodness. So
wow.
much damage.
And he hits him with the thumbs up, Bert. You love to see it. That's my first round draft pick, my double point fantasy player on day number 4. Bert at 102 HP and styling while he is at it. Meanwhile, Clear takes another loss down there. Things getting very, very dicey.
DQA with Celestial Blessing, Guardian Crest, Blue Battery. All these options are okay. I think Celestial Blessing is the most generic. I actually think that there was a brief moment of merit to Blue Battery. I think that Blue Battery is not picked enough. I think people would just associate as a reroll augment for Ezreal or Karma, and that's about it. Blue Battery is particularly powerful with Evokers. You can actually use it with Aurelion Soul, whose mana is at 60. And then now you have an Evoker emblem. You can go for Evoker. You can kind of see where I'm going with this. You just cast nonstop, and the cast ends up snowballing on each other because Evokers gain mana from allies casting. All of a sudden, Anivia, Sona, and Aurelion Soul are doing crazy amount of damage. That being said, Celestial Blessing 2 is still perfectly fine and an acceptable augment. I think DQ is going for what's tried and true.
Yeah, absolutely. Going up against Clear's board, Clear was finally able to hit that Xiaoyu that he has been looking so desperately for the entirety of the last 4 or 5 rounds. Is the Xiaoyu going to be enough, though? It's going to spend a meaningful amount of time auto-attacking in the front line. The Anivia is ramping up, and there's just no anti-heal for DQA, so it's just really hard for me to envision him actually killing the Xiaoyu. He's getting so much time in this fight, but enough time doesn't matter. The Xiaoyu is just auto-attacking and healing its way back up to full, so Clear is going to take a fight when DQA is going to take a fight loss. Actually, Darth Nub is now no longer streaking. I assume lost to Pocky Gom's board. Pocky, our only streaker. Big hit from Darth, though. Able to get the Corki 2 online. The strongest carry in built different situations because it just doesn't really care overly much about its traits and so puts out crazy amounts of DPS.
Holy moly. 3-star Nunu comes into the field for Pocky Gom, and if he's playing a Spell Sword Dage set, that's going to be fearsome, to say the least. Another dynamic that we can talk about here is the fact that Darth Nub has also gotten Pandora's Bench, and Pandora's Bench is often best associated with 4-cost units. And he's going to be able to roll for a 3-star 4-cost in this way. Maybe play that double Corky board that we've seen a lot of people. He also has the luxury of staying at 7 for a long time now to make up the power in this way. You can see him, he's actually rolling mid-combat to pick up additional 4-cost to roll. But whether or not he's able to stabilize or even hit is another question. Pandora's Bench does not pull from the draft pool, so you could theoretically go over it. If everyone's holding Corkies, you still could hit Corky 3. Just very unlikely in that situation. We'll have to check back in with him later as we see another loss for Clear and a critical defeat for DQA, who might even beat Clear to that 8th place.
Yeah, he might. Taking a look at these augments, we have some very interesting things brewing. I have to call out Amde, who we did not get a chance to talk about it, but he has late game specialist as a silver augment, and then he took Eye of the Storm, which is probably the best augment he could have been offered in that situation. He's playing around a frontline Anivia, which the goal is to get the enemy to clump around the Anivia. It has so much base AP with the 6 Dragonmancer Spatula, plus the Jeweled Gauntlet giving critical strikes, and then you add on top of that a Chalice of Power, plus the Eye of the Storm AP, and it's just disgusting. It's such a cool board. I am really excited to see that in action. I think he is going to be able to get to level 9 and make use of that late game specialist. I think Amde is potentially in pole position to win this game.
I agree with that, and I also think that the highest cap version of that board is not the Anivia, because he has late game specialist. It's actually Shyvana. Shyvana with Dragonmancer Emblem and Eye of the Storm is an absolute menace that tears everything up. And the reason why I know this is because one time I literally had to AFK and I pushed Shyvana 1 Eye of the Storm with Dragonmancer Emblem and I won the lobby. So it's actually just that strong. I hope we can see it come to fruition. Speaking of Shyvana, we have Bertasaurus breathing fire onto the back line and itemizing very wisely this Zaya for secondary damage. Now that said, Bert did not able to target the right side of the board. Shyvana goes for largest clump. And I think it was evenly distributed, leaving that Corky alive, so it does end up taking a loss here. But Bert's so healthy that I don't think he's in any real danger yet of going bot 4. On the opposite side of things, a player that is in danger is DQA, who is now going for the Aushin pivot. And this is a very hard situation to pull yourself out from because the units on this board are good, Bryce, but everything's all 1-star except for the Lulu and the Heimer, which are probably the least impactful units right now.
Yeah, they are very low impact. This Heimer, no mages. He's playing Nomsy, but he's just started investing in the Nomsy, right? This Nomsy has 6 snacks so far, so it's basically useless on this board. DQA out of money and realistically out of hope. I mean, maybe somehow he's able to squeak out a bot 7 here, but I don't think so. I think there's a decent chance that he actually just straight up dies to Darth Nub's board here, and DQA goes from 1st place to 8th place. You hate to see it. Rough game for him, but he's a tournament veteran, very capable of bouncing back the rest of the day.
That one stings. Clear, still stabilizing. He did find the Shioyu too, now putting pressure onto Robin, and again, because of the Mystics, having some good favorable matchups, right? You saw him do well against DQA's AP boards, doing well against Robin's mage-centric board, has a Yasuo 2 at 7. That Yasuo pair that he had, I think with the glove, means that he picked it up off of Carousel, so that was a little bit of a miss on our end. Finds Titans as a possibility to just play onto either of his 2-star bruiser carries in Shioyu, as well as Yasuo. This is an entirely reasonable Treasure Dragon to take. It is a little bit awkward in a couple of fronts. Also, we'll still have no items onto the Nico unless he decides to put some of the other tier 2 items onto her.
He could death cap Nico. It's not terrible. It's shield boost. I know Goobums favors death cap as not a great item on Nico, but playable enough. So definitely worth thinking about in this situation. That's probably what I would do, is I would put the Last Whisper there, and then I would death cap the Nico to round it out. This is an okay board. It is a board that is capable of winning fights. It's pretty high roll, for being honest. The fact that he's been able to find a Yasuo 2 plus this Shio U2, considering how little gold he had and he hadn't found these units yet. The flip side is he had low rolled by not hitting any of them earlier. This is clearly the board that he had in mind. The question is, how far is this board capable of taking him? We haven't actually gotten a chance to look at Kurumx's board. He's down at 16 HP. Robin, we have seen, and I feel like his spot probably isn't very good, so it's possible Clear can find his way into a top 5, but with the HP gap and his board state, it's hard for me to envision him doing much better than that here.
A good time to fight Bird. He has a duplicator and he has a bunch of pairs on his bench, so an opportunity. But this itemization of Shyvana, the dragon sent deletes the backline instantaneously. Does it seem like the Yasuo's gonna be able to finish it off? No ability to get the sweeping blade cast number 3 for the execute. Still takes big damage, and we talked exactly about the situation. Once more, Clear is under the gun, does not have a strong board for stage 5, now behind the curve and cannot get to level 8. Another player that's struggling is Kurumx. Our top 2 finishers, DQA and Kurumx, previously are now going 7 and 8, which would just turn the standings on its head. This is a very tough situation too, because I'm looking at the board state and he's still carrying 2-star Tristana, 2-star Jinx, 1-star Siphon. This is a terrible board. I think Kurum's doomed for a 7th place, barring a miraculous fight.
Yeah, we haven't seen a board that I think he's particularly capable of beating here. It's an okay matchup into the Shio U. If he had a Corki 2, I'd feel a lot better about it, but this is maybe his best shot. There's a Yasuo 2 wailing away, getting some CCs coming up. Not actually very impactful. The Shio U is taking damage, but does have the Bloodthirster and is healing back up. It doesn't look like there's any anti-heal applied, but it is slowly but surely dying. The Tristan takes care of business. It's just Yasuo versus the world. Yasuo was able to get big damage there, but Jinx and Heimer still alive. That was the only board I think Kurum realistically had a shot at beating, maybe Robin as well. So good matchmaking RNG for him at least, but he literally can't even afford to buy a Siphon 2 if he hits it. He's got no copies of Corki, and this might have just been a stay of execution.
His best shot is hoping that he can kill enough units, and maybe his teammate Robin Songs can help him fight for a 6th place. At this point, Kurum knows that it's purely about HP preservation the best you can. The caveat is, Namzi's at 4-star, and we've seen some Siphon do some crazy things but once in a while. And Darth Nub is still at 7, has not hit anything particularly strong. In fact, Darth Nub feels like he's playing the exact same board for about a stage now while trying to eco back up. And so it makes me think this is actually a really good time to play Darth Nub. This actually might be a Kurum victory, depending on how things go. Corki's not immediately targeting Tristana. But Trist now gets overwhelmed. Can this Namzi be able to clean things up in time? I don't think so. There's just no way to challenge this Corki. Kurumx is going to be out here. Did Robin end up losing at all? Robin did end up taking the loss. Only -1, so Kurum does get 7th place. Team Liquid holding hands, friends 6-7.
Yeah, not an ideal finish there, but Kurum with a solid top 2. We had a 1st and an 8th, we have a 2nd and a 7th. Robin's the only one really struggling, did bring in some extra points today, so hopefully he's going to be in a position to be able to bounce back in games 3 through 6. Taking a look at this carousel, we've got 2 win streakers. We've got Darth Nub and Pocky Gom, who's been win streaking at 68 HP forever. We know he has a Nunu 3. We don't know anything else about his board, though. And then Amde probably has been trying to get to level 9, is all the way down at 20 HP. Would love to check in on that board as well. But Pocky Gom is he's cooking with gas. He's on a 13-round win streak. He's got solid items on his Deja. He's got a Nunu 3 with the Radiant version of Sunfire, which is terrifying. These new items are disgusting. And he's also got this Cavalier emblem teed up for a Yasuo at level 9, which he will undoubtedly get to because he has 80 gold.
Can he get a 2nd win? Like, this Nunu is going to stay so healthy, and the Nunu, I wouldn't be surprised if it almost deals as much damage as the Deja 2 in a full-length fight. We'll see. Darth Nub has 2 Corki 2s and Xayah, but his front line cracks almost instantly, and now we have to see whether or not these Corkis can get it done with the 10 seconds that were bought. An additional stun from the 2nd cast of Nico does end up stall for just a moment here, but Deja is now onto the Corki, and that's just going to be it. Another bite from Nunu! Huge damage. Pocky Gom has destroyed the streak of Darth Nub, and now Bert and Pocky are the players that are streaking. Amde has 9. Instantly finds Shyvana. Does not go for it.
And Aoshin! What? He literally skipped Aoshin too!
What is he trying to go for here at level 9 then, if that's not what he wants to play? We've seen Dragon Mancer 10-cost Dragon be a very powerful way to cap the board, because he's not just going to be playing these 2-star units all game, is he? I don't think this is good enough.
What is happening this game? I feel like I was so excited about these lobbies coming in. The quality of the players overall is very high. I'd been relatively impressed with Clear and Amde so far, but it feels like we're seeing extremely uncharacteristically bad plays where these good players are tunneling around the board they have in their minds and not paying attention to what's in their shops. You get offered an Aoshin, buy it. You get 2 more in your next one, cool. You have an Aoshin 2, let's play around that. He's able to take care of business against a Ghost here, but he's down at 12 HP. He's got a top 4 secured, but it feels like he could have been playing for top 1 here. We saw Bertasaurus go 2nd place on a 6 Dragon Mancer Aoshin line that was very similar to this. I am very disappointed to see Amde full commit to this board, especially given the lobby complexion. He's got 12 HP. We have 3 players that are 60 or above.
I see what he's trying to go for now, actually. Okay, so what Amde's saying is, I want to go for 9 Dragon Mancer. But he has to find Yasuo. And, to your point, Bryce, I do think that the line that we talked about is stronger. But if he does find the Yasuo, 9 Dragon Mancer can provide comparable strength. On the Anivia 2, maybe not. But we'll see. He has to also find the Yasuo. If he doesn't find the Yasuo, it's all for naught. As we also take a look at Pocky Gom's roll down, which I don't think is particularly super consequential. Any legendary could do. You can justify Soraka, you could justify Bard. I could even put Lulu into the mix, given that she will buff the attack speed. But he is going up against Amde on the other side, so we get to see what final Dragon Mancer variation Amde has. If he plays a bunch of 1-star Dragon Mancers to get that 9 Dragon Mancer online, it could be worth. But against one of the highest capped boards in the game, which is a full Spell Sword Deja, he did. He found the Yasuo. So here we go, the 9 Dragon Mancer, but this is also a bad matchup, particularly into Deja with Spell Sword. Oh no, instantly losing a couple of frontliners, and now has to see if he can take down the Anivia, and with that Sunfire, the Radiant Sunlight Cape, I just don't think it's going to be enough. A valiant effort, but a lot left to be desired. Amde solo contesting 4th place. But hey, look at the HP counts, Bryce. Maybe 4th place was always going to be what happened, given what happened with 60 plus HP for everyone above him.
Yeah, and that's not even the cap version of Pocky's board, right? The cap version is going to involve a Yasuo carrying that Cavalier emblem. So Amde goes out in 4th place, top 4. It's a solid bounce back for him. He had bonus points coming in. He'll be fine. I just think there was a better line he could have theoretically taken, or at least been open to. Joining Bertasaurus' board, we see that he has the Shyvana 2. He's been sitting on that duplicator for a long time. He finally gets it going, and this is a pretty cool board for Bert. He's at 50 gold, level 8, 66 HP, so he's going to be able to get to 9. We're going to see some crazy cap here because the separation in this lobby was so wild. You have 3 players all with basically 60 HP left over, everyone else dead, so all 3 of these players are going to have to go for Omega cap in order to try to top 1 this lobby.
It's just difficult because you have to get to the Nunu 3 in order to get the right to challenge Deja. And you see Deja just ramping up. Pocky Gom still trying to see if he can take down this Yasuo very quickly, and should be able to do so. Does deal damage to Bertasaurus. So everyone kind of beating each other. Pocky Gom has taken a loss, I believe, to Darth Nub, but beat Bertasaurus, who beat Darth Nub.
We're 1 away.
Quirky.
We have 8 Corkis right now going for the built different Corki 3, which is just disgusting. The cap here is so potentially strong. Darth Nub has played this game really well, understanding the value of the Pandora's interaction with the built different board, because you want all these 4 costs. Look at his board. It's all 4 costs basically, right? He's got the Nico 2, the Orin 2, the Hecarim 2 as his frontliners, and he can play around a Corki 3 win condition. He probably has the highest cap in this game when he hits it, but it'll be interesting to see if anyone can get higher because everyone has so much resources to work with.
Yeah, it kind of depends too about how Shyvana chooses to target. Ends up going for the Dragon Scent onto the front line. Now turns around and aims at the Xayah. Neither of the carries getting hits. And that is the pair of Corkis, and 1 more Descent is enough. And so Darth Nub has his bar. If he has that Corki 3, should be able to swing the fight. But it's not like his other opponents are trying to get any weaker either.
It's a useless Dragonmancer emblem, but it is a quirky 3 that Darth Nub is going to secure for himself. Very nice. Bertasaurus actually has a chance to get a Rage Wing emblem playing around the Rage Wing board. And what does Pocky go for here? Blue buff for a Yasuo sounds particularly very good to me. Thinking about a Spark as well.
Yeah, Spark to try to get a little bit more of his Deja damage in. Corki 3 has arrived, but as you mentioned, at the cost of one of his items. Dragonmancer emblems, heck, emblems in general, quite poor in built different boards. What is the next unit on deck? He did have that Hecarim at 2-star, and looks like he did switch it into a Talon, which he's playing into it. I guess for now, he's just going to hope that Corki 3 is strong enough. Going against Pocky Gom, Corki does traditionally have a tough matchup into Deja, especially Spellsword Deja, because the Spellsword Deja just ignores the front line, doesn't getting the Shroud, and he's targeting the Nunu. Is this good or bad? I gotta admit, I haven't really seen Nunu 3 versus Corki 3. Nunu rushes to the back, bites the Nico. Nico stuns with her Blossom, tries to even get another cast, and Corki finally gets past one of the frontline units and is now targeting the Deja, who has fully ramped. And Corki 3 not able to get it done. You see why it's a tough matchup, in particular because that Nunu 3 was tanking forever for Pocky Gom.
Yeah, it also might look like a Corki missile might have fizzled there. I saw one land on top of the Deja and do no damage. I don't think it would have killed the Deja, though, so I think it probably didn't swing the fight. Or maybe it was a dodge from Deja. Wow. I mean, either way, really, really interesting matchup. I can't say I've seen a lot of Corki 3 built different in Nunu 3 either, but I did like the positioning tech from Darth Nub, backlining his Nico to get extra AD from the stealing the stats from the Corki, and then also peeling for the Corki there. It wasn't enough, but it was very fun to watch. Meanwhile, joining Bertasaurus, who has gone win-loss this whole stage, but it's okay. He's playing for a level 9 cap here, if at all possible. He's actually holding an Aushin, which suggests to me he might think that Aushin is going to be his ultimate pivot here, as opposed to staying on the Shyvana. Only time is going to tell. Going up against Pocky Gom, and that Shyvana has landed, is doing big damage with the Deja so far away from the rest of the board. Very smart positioning from Pocky Gom to make sure that his primary carry is doing its thing in the back line. His two most important units are alive. This Nunu 3 just goes munch. There goes the Shyvana. Pocky with another win, slowly but surely increasing his health up to 72 with that Soraka.
I'm particularly fascinated with that Aushin hold here, and you can see that Bert's keeping that window open. However, he also has his Rage Wing emblem. Yeah, he ends up selling the Aushin. I wasn't really seeing it based off the way his board was setting up. I just don't think he would have made that strong of a Aushin board, to be honest. So I like that Bert has thrown that away. He also has a Rage Wing emblem. I wonder if he wants to replace one of his Rage Wings. You can say, for example, take out Hecarim or Shen, and end up playing a nice legendary unit to
you can go 9
more mystics. 9 Rage Wing. Okay, so go the opposite direction and say, I'm just going to go 9 Rage Wing and try to get even more attack speed in Omnivamp. And that looks to be the case. He did make that swing too.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't made the transition yet, so we can't say confidently. Bert is such a good analyzer of the situation. So, okay, so he makes it and he sells it. He does not want to go for the Rage Wing. It was kind of a backup plan, I guess. Under the circumstances, this Rage Wing emblem, he reforges, he gets a locket, not probably doing very much.
Okay. Rage Wing Bard. Bard's not getting hit much anyway, so you just generate a little bit extra mana relative to what you'd expect. Nothing super crazy here. Here comes a Descent. Corki 3 again does get frozen. And now Shyvana is targeting, but drawing a bunch of the aggression. But look at that last hit. It does come down to a Yasuo 1v1, so it should be Darth Nub's victory here, unless Xayah is ready to channel her release set 7 form. Not to be so. Bert does end up taking the loss here. Looks like Bert is going to be 3rd place, as he does not seem primed to be able to take down Deja. And now we're at that point where Pocky Gom can start thinking about what other 3 stars you can pursue here.
Yeah, Pocky's still not capped, by the way. All these Yasuos, right? He would like to have a Yasuo 2 of his own, but this Spell Sword Deja is so strong. We talked about it from the outset as one of the strongest, if not the very strongest, versions of the Mirage trait. And when you couple that with this crazy early Nunu 3 with this itemization, right? Pocky had 2 Nunu 2s, I think, on his 3-1 fight, and so he just played around this win condition for the whole game. Going up against Darth Nub's board, which has improved considerably, this Yasuo is a lot scary, but it's taking the early Deja aggro. This Yasuo is going to go down early in this fight, so it's going to be Corki 3 against the world. The CC from the Yasuo is in the back line, disrupting that Corki. The Nico Peel is there. The Nunu 3 is still alive in the back line. So many units left alive, but it is Corki with big damage. The Spell Sword ramp up from the Deja is enough to take down this fight, and this built different Corki 3, a board that you would often see top winning lobbies, seems like it might be destined for second. Bertasaurus with a board that often could top one a lobby as well. He gets a third. That's the nature of the beast in this prismatic lobby. And a Nico 3! Stop the presses.
God.
Is that enough to swing this matchup?
I don't even really know. Nico 3 now should be a frontliner so she can get the stall. She does have... So Nico 3 scales the shield amount to 2,000 and deals 1,500. Is that enough? We're going to have to find out who will be the one that gets the last laugh. Darth Nub has a lot of ground to make up, though, in HP. Here we go. The first cast. The onslaught does miss most of the board here, so Hecarim is down. Nico does cast, but only stuns a part of the board, and Yasuo has Quicksilver, so the stun isn't even that long. And now Nico 3 is being targeted by the Nunu, the Yasuo 2, and the Spell Sword Deja, but the shield is so big. Corki 3 is now directly onto the Deja. Is it a BT diff? It is not. And gods can bleed. Nico 3 has gotten the job done, but we have a Dragon Carousel the table here.
Pocky has a Mirage emblem available to him if he wants to go for that. There's also a Thieves Glove, potentially very interesting. Sin Spat could have been some interesting shenanigans as well. By the way, you could have Sin Spatted an Eco 3 and jumped it into the back line for Omega Disruption onto that Deja, although it doesn't sound very good. Most of that board is melee, so fairly low value. We see the rolling happening here. Pocky Gom is going to use that Mirage Emblem, looks like, to get off of the Yone and play a stronger unit. He still can't find this Yasuo 2, such a big deal for Pocky's board.
And the inherent glamour from Nico is so problematic. It's an Ornn 3! How many 3-stars can this man acquire?
Yeah, Corki 3 alone, not enough, but Nico 3 and Ornn 3? Are you kidding me?
Pass down the middle with the blue buff to the Thieves Glove. If Pocky Gom loses, he still has a lot of life to give. We might go to a stage 8 sudden death situation to be the first time I have ever witnessed this. And Ornn 3 is staying alive. And we talked about how Deja has one of the highest caps, but that was within the bounds of normal TFT. Not this TFT, where apparently you get to sandbox and choose your 3-star.
This is so hype from Darth Nub. I talked yesterday about how happy I was to see him performing well. He's been a consistent high challenger player that has never quite clicked in a tournament, and he is putting on a show so far in this game, playing around the Pandora's bench and going for everything. He does not feel limited here. He is going for multiple 3-star 4-cost upgrades. It is a wildly capped board. Will the Yasuo 2 from Pocky Gom make any bit of difference?
I don't think it can. I think the Yasuo 2 is just making it a little bit more tanky, a little bit more damage. But we're talking about 8 seconds of stun, 1,500 damage, 1k from the Stampede. And Yasuo finally takes down the Ornn 3, but there's still Nico 3, there's still Corki 3. And the impossible just happened. We are going to stage 8.
We are going to stage 8, which is so fun and exciting. I'm not sure that there's a way for us to build up this matchup as capable of being won by Pocky. It felt like it was a definite Pocky win was just Corki 3. Then we saw the Nico 3 matchup, and it was very, very close. But now with the Ornn 3 as well, it feels like Darth Nub has just tipped the scales here, quite frankly. There's just so much unbelievable raw power on the board. The crazy amounts of CC from the Ornn, from the Nico, the crazy amounts of damage from this Corki. There's no real access to that Corki as well from Pocky Gom's board. So Pocky Gom putting on a valiant effort. This is a board that should top 1 the overwhelming majority of lobbies in this tournament, but I just don't see how it is meant to be under these circumstances.
I mean, Pocky is scouting. He does have a Quicksilver. Quicksilver is nice for the Yasuo to stop the 8-second stun that comes from the Stampede, as well as the chain combination from the glamour of Nico. Goes for a giant Reforge play. Gets Deathblade, I believe Redemption. I think I saw a Dragon's Claw. I don't think this is the combination that can get it done. Deathblade, Zoe, get in there. And what is guaranteed to be the last fight of this incredibly epic game, We have the showdown of not one, not two, but three-star tier 4 units in teamfight tactics. You may never see this again in a competitive TFT match of your lifetime. Can you believe it? Here we go, Darth Nub with the winning missile. Pocky Gom, I am your father! That is an explosive way to end game 2 of the final day of the mid-set finale.